We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. The 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund faced backlash for excluding same-sex partners. The fight of the queer community ultimately led to the Michael Judge Act, granting benefits to first responders from the community.
Ninth Circuit rules religious colleges can keep Title IX exemption, allowing adherence to biblical LGBTQ views without losing federal funding.
While Harris challenged Trump on key issues, dominating the debate, Trump gave flustered responses and made unsubstantiated claims. To add to Harris's glory, Taylor Swift has endorsed her too.
The upcoming Netflix documentary follows Will Ferrell and Harper Steele on a heartfelt U.S. road trip, exploring friendship and queer identity.
Drag queen Priyanka voices concern after HBO cancels We're Here. Fearing a decline in queer content, co-creators express gratitude for the show's impact. You can watch all 4 seasons online.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We're proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we now have more than 9.5 million views because of you. More than 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days. We say thank you. It is Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show. Literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
HOTspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ nonprofit media companies in America, HOTspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and the broader community.
That's right, Cindy Brown. And let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome the one, the only. She's Bonnie Builder. She's the premier South Florida bodybuilding drag queen and the forever reigning Mixed Mary's Wilton Manors. A recent graduate of FIU, Bonnie Builder is a trainer and comes to life with a microphone and a spotlight. Welcome back, Bonnie. What you got going on, boo?
Girl, so much.
So much.
And let me tell you, when I feel like it, which isn't now. Next, no, I'm kidding. So, hi, I am Bonnie Builder. I am your anchor for this evening. I am also hosting drag trivia on Wednesdays at the Gathering in South Beach. You can also catch me this Friday at the Manor. I'll be performing at the Manor. We have a huge fundraising event going on. So if you want more information on that, please go to Bonnie Builder on Instagram. I'll show you everything.
Bonnie, so it's your first time on the Manor stage. Congratulations.
Circle. I used to drink there. I used to dance there. I used to get in a fights there. I used to do other things in there. The fact that I finally get invited to perform on that stage is like a full circle moment for like my drag career. I'm so excited.
Exciting.
You deserve
this
it.
Means you all are going.
Oh my God.
It is mandatory.
I will come. I will come for you.
You usually do. But will you come to this event?
Oh, well, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you, and I just think it's such a beautiful thing. And I love everybody over at the Manor, you know, Gary Fantis and, of course, Scott Holland and all of them. You know, they don't put crap on the stage. You know what I mean? Like, they bring girls. Carmen Carrera's performing, Adora's performing, a bunch of other incredible Natasha DeWitches.
Persephone, Von
Persephone.
Lips.
So, I mean,
a whole slew of girls.
And you're a
I'm
wonderful
one of them.
addition. And you're one of them. All right. So get on over to the Manor this Friday. All right. Okay. Next up, let's welcome anchor Dr. Tai Houser. He got a new haircut. Look at him. Doesn't he look great? He didn't get a new haircut. Okay. I just thought it was a new haircut. I just think he looks great. All right. He's a professor of English and Humanities at Broward College and teaches in the College of Business at Florida Atlantic University. He has served as a visiting professor at colleges in Bolivia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain, and provides an international viewpoint. Welcome back, Tai.
Hey, it's good to be here. You know, I went to the doctor today, and he ordered, I'm old, he ordered a bone density test.
See that?
But he also renewed my my Doxy Pep. So apparently I need a doctor's opinion to find out that I'm an old whore.
Ah, you already knew that.
I
Good
knew
at
that.
you, right?
We could have taken a poll around the table. You would have found that out much sooner.
Right, way sooner. Next up, let's welcome anchor Paul Thomas. He is currently a member of the LGBTQ plus advisory committee to the city of Miami Beach, on the board of directors for the Point Foundation, and on the endorsement committee for SAVE. Good evening, Paul. Welcome back, boo. I feel like I haven't seen you in a week, maybe.
Good evening. It's great to be here. It's nice to see everyone. It has been a while since I've seen everyone at this table. But the one thing that I want to say today that's really important to me is that it's my mother's birthday.
Oh,
And
happy
so
birthday.
I want to
Paul's
say
mom.
happy birthday, Mom. So happy that you're celebrating, 9/11 being the
Right.
day. For like
That's
5
tough.
years, she wouldn't celebrate her birthday because she felt so bad for
course.
all the people, having a hard time that day. But she's back to celebrating and having a good time. I was talking to her earlier. She sounds good.
Oh, I
I'm
love
happy
that.
for her. So happy birthday.
I love that. I love
Wonderful.
that. So, Mama Thomas, this is a message from me to you, all right? Thank you for having sex all those years ago and bringing us this incredible human who is Paul Thomas. You don't understand how many people Paul mentors, helps, supports, just offers a lending ear. He is an incredible soul, and I know it's not his doing, it's yours.
That's true.
So thank you, and happy birthday. May you have many, 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 many more, Mama Thomas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, let's welcome my sister, Cindy Brown's in the house. Cindy was an early organizer of the Miami AIDS Walk and the White Party Fur Care Resource. She is the programs director for Lambda Living Program at Jewish Community Services, and she also served as the founding executive director of Miami Beach Pride. So Cindy, Miami Shores Pride, my neighbor right next door, right? I love Miami Shores Pride. So their Miami Shores Pride Big Gay Brunch is coming up October 6th, right there at the Miami Shores Country Club. That is beautiful. Tell me what's happening.
Well, who can resist a big gay brunch? Miami Shores Pride has been around for a few years. It's actually was created in response to the anti-LGBTQ legislation and rhetoric coming out of Tallahassee. And they formed their organization. They did a few festivals. This being an election year, the decision was not to do a full festival, but to do a big gay brunch. And the funds that we get from our brunch and the festival, when we have it again in 2025, benefit the Point Foundation and Safe Schools South Florida,
right.
because we know that they are our future.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that they have the tools to become full,
To become us.
to become us. Yeah, because we're getting tired.
That's for sure.
And so,
Kidding.
get your tickets now, because right now they're $125. After the 20th of this month, they go up to $150. And then at the door, they're $200. So shorespride.com, get your tickets, support Safe School South Florida and the Point Foundation,
Yes,
and join us
please
for
do
the
that.
big gay brunch
Yeah.
Yay.
Excited.
on October 6th.
And that's shoresprice.org, correct?
Probably.
Yes. Shorespride.org.
Yes.
Perfect.
If org doesn't work, try com.
And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor. FayWhat? I can't hit that high note.
Now,
She
that's
is
the-
a legendary events host, television and radio personality, and the host of the FayWhat Show on Mondays at HOTspots Happening Out. Faye, the 13th annual Julian's Reverse Quinceanera
Yeah.
will be held on September 28th at the venue, Fort Lauderdale. You are hosting the event, so tell me what's happening.
Yes, so Julian's 13th annual Reverse Quinceañera is September 30th, and I couldn't be more excited to be your host for a third year. So Myrna will honor Florida's Grand Damas of our drag community at the Manor Ballroom, Wilton Manors. Time to honor Nikki Adams, Electra, Tiffany Arriagas, Kitty Meow, Kathy Craig, your female impersonator from out South Florida, Queen Mother Melissa St. John. I love that lady. Out South Florida's Queen of Queens, Erica Norell, and the Total Package, TP Lords. Honoring royalty, baby, on the 28th. If any of these queens have ever inspired you, you should be there, all right? Special performances by the one, the only, Kimberly Gomez. I love Miss Kimberly. Join us and support Julian's Fountain of Youth. Get your tickets at jfoy.org/reversequinceañera.html. I can't wait. Get your tickets today. The event does sell out every year. So we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. First this evening, let's queer up the world view. Queer News Tonight will broadcast show from Munich's Gay Oktoberfest, September 17th to 26th. Queer News Tonight, the leading LGBTQ plus television news, is set to continue its groundbreaking coverage with a 2-week broadcast from Europe, starting next week on September 17th. The highlight of the broadcast will be Munich's Gay Oktoberfest. This will be a live coverage from the festival fairgrounds and some of the world's largest and most iconic beer halls, also known as Rosa Wiesen. The famous festival will begin with Gay Sunday at the Oktoberfest Fairgrounds. Gay Sunday! This special broadcast will also include Bavaria's fairy tale-like Neuschwanstein castle, the inspiration for Cinderella's castle at Disney World, by the way, Austria's famous Sound of Music mountain, the Italian Alps in Bolzano, and broadcasts from Liechtenstein and Switzerland. Tune in for 2 weeks of exciting and inclusive coverage. Can't wait. Next, let's queer up social justice. The hidden LGBTQ plus struggle of 9/11 as partners fought for benefits. In the aftermath of September 11 attacks, while the world grappled with the immediate chaos, a less visible battle emerged: the fight for victim compensation and the inclusion of same-sex partners. Shortly after the tragedy, the U.S. government established the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund, VCF, to offer financial relief to those impacted by the attacks. However, this initiative quickly revealed deeper societal fault lines. Recently, a Cambridge University press article has brought to light the contentious debates surrounding the VCF's distribution and its impact on LGBTQ plus rights. The VCF aimed to compensate families without resorting to litigation against airlines, but triggered significant controversy, especially concerning same-sex partnerships. Initial public and governmental responses were fraught with tension over whether same-sex partners should receive benefits comparable to heterosexual spouses. This debate reflected a broader societal shift, where the visibility of gay heroes like Mark Bigham and Father Michael Judge challenged traditional views and fueled legislative changes. Public sentiment fluctuated between support for gay rights and resentment towards perceived economic inequality. The VCF highlighted discrepancies in compensation, with wealthy victims' families receiving backlash over government payouts. This in turn intensified discussions about economic disparities, the notion of fairness in compensation. The struggle for inclusion culminated in the passage of the Michael Judge Act, which provided federal benefits to same-sex partners of first responders, marking a significant, albeit indirect, victory for queer rights in the wake of September 11th. This unfortunate incident happened 23 years ago today. Wow. First of all, I can't believe it's been 23 years, kids.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
23 years. Like, part of me still feels like it was yesterday, right? It's been so long. I remember, everybody remembers where they were at,
I was watching the Today Show.
I was working on Y100 here locally, and I had to tell our listeners what was going on. And we initially thought that it was a drunken pilot, that had crashed into the World Trade Center. And, during that time and before, we've had such an influx of people from New York move down here to Miami and South Florida. So there were so many people trying to just get answers and couldn't even get, the answers. It was a very, very tough time, and I love how some people post, we should remember on 9/11 how people were on September 12th. To each other, right?
Exactly.
Because that's such a sentiment that is so, especially through all the times that we're going through now. Now, this story talks about, it made me uneasy just reading the story about how secondary our partnerships are considered, right? You know what I mean? Where it had to be something that had to be drawn out and fought for. I remember when the executive order was signed by Governor Pataki extending these benefits to partners under the state Crime Victims Board. But a lot of people just thought that the 9/11 compensation fund was sincerely anti-gay. Because what people had to, the obstacles that partners had to jump through and get through, some partnerships, some people that had lost their people didn't get anything or like had to wait 10, 15 years to get a dime or any kind of help. I can't even imagine losing my wife.
Right.
And I can't even imagine having to go through that without any support from the government or watching TV and thinking that my marriage or my partnership with somebody is secondary to a heterosexual couple.
Well, and then especially knowing that wealthy straight families were getting funding.
Exactly.
Right? And you're sitting there going, well, wait, what about me?
And, things like this were a really strong argument for same-sex marriage. And 23 years ago, we didn't have that.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if we did have it, this would have been less of an issue.
Yeah.
But it's just another example of how even if we're married, people still consider our marriages and our partnerships to be somehow not as important or not as family, not family.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we lost a lot of LGBTQ plus people that day,
did.
right? And there are people like, we talked about Michael Judge. We talked about the chaplain, he presided over gay men's funerals during the AIDS crisis when nobody would. Okay. That's the kind of stuff that he did, and he was, I believe, the first person that was killed in the first tower. And Bingham was the other gentleman, correct? Right.
And he was on the plane that was headed in Pennsylvania, and he was on the plane that was headed for the Pentagon. And he and another passenger said, no, we're not, because they knew what was happening because the other planes had already hit the World Trade Center. So he said, he was on the phone with his mom and he said, I gotta go, I love you. And
Wow.
he and a couple other people on that plane are the reason that plane never hit the Pentagon.
Or the White House or anywhere else.
Or
it was-
Congress.
Or wherever that it was going to. And that's when the last words were like, let's roll or something like that, right? That was that, right?
that was it.
him.
They're doing it.
But there was so many other people, that we also lost. What were you thinking, Paul?
I was just thinking, I'm from New York, and that day will like forever be just, it's still like, did that really happen? And even to this day, you said 23 years ago, but even when I go back to the city today, because the World Trade Center was my marker.
Yes.
Like, if I didn't know where I was in the city, I would look up, and when I saw it, I knew that was south, because New York is a grid, and then I knew my north, south, east, west. And to this day, I will still look. And they put up the Freedom Tower, and that's super nice, but it's not the World Trade. You know what I mean? There's still like a hole up there that for me, there'll just always be this hole in the sky now. From that day.
Yeah.
How people have recovered and moved forward has been inspirational, but we're talking about a story today that we're still fighting for these benefits to this day.
Yes, people have died, people have been born. So many things have happened in 23 years, and some of these families are still fighting for it.
Well, something happens in your life, and you go, "Hey, I need help," and they go, "Oh, you don't count." Sorry, you don't.
No,
everybody else gets the help, but you don't. But you don't count. Like your relationship, your love, your amount of love, that doesn't matter. And that's so unacceptable. It's 2024.
Yeah.
It's crazy how like during that time, I hear a lot of rhetoric about like, oh, during that time we weren't black, white, whatever. We were all just Americans, and yet people were still being discriminated against during that time.
Exactly.
Of course.
So who is that rhetoric actually for?
The white people.
Boom. So I was, I think, 8 years old at the time. I was sitting in a classroom, no idea what was going on. Just saw a calamity happening, got picked up from school. But just to understand how like being married now, if any sort of tragedy like this were to happen, and to be told, you had a marriage, you had a wedding, it was great, awesome, you have the ring and everything, but you still don't count as like a valid married couple, so you're not you're not going to get the same rights as the straight couple next to you.
Yeah.
That is absolutely heartbreaking. On one of the most tragic incidences of the world, to be told this craziness happened and you're traumatized, but we're going to continue to traumatize you by segregating you because of who you love. That is absolutely insane.
Disgusting. It's horrible. And because of, and before we finish this segment, I just want to give you a couple of names of some LGBTQ plus people that we lost 23 years ago. Pamela Boyce, she was the VP of World Trade Center firm, and she was a competitive disco dancer. Jessica Dulong was a writer from Brooklyn. Patrick Burke was a high school principal. 1 block away, he got all his students out and then decided to go help and lost his life. Right? Graham Berkeley, he was a concert violinist, right? The Brandhurst and Gamboa family, the 2 dads and their daughter, were coming back from a trip at P-Town. And those are just some of the LGBTQ plus folks that we lost. There are many, 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 many more that their names will never be said. They will never be said again, But if you're ever in New York, you go over to that memorial, right? And you say your little prayer, but you also take a second prayer and you go, LGBTQ plus people that were lost this day, I think of you and everybody who was affected.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well said. Next, let's clear up the courts. Appeals Court upholds Title IX exemptions for religious colleges. A 3-judge panel from the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has upheld the religious exemption for Christian colleges under Title IX, rejecting efforts to strip federal funding due to their biblical views on LGBTQ issues. In the case of Hunter et al. Versus Department of Education et al., the court unanimously supported the exemption that allows religious institutions to adhere to their doctrines without conflicting with the federal civil rights law. The decision, penned by Circuit Court Judge Milan D. Smith, Jr., emphasized the long-standing tradition of accommodating religious practices as consistent with the Establishment Clause. The Council for Christian Colleges and Universities, representing nearly 200 Christian institutions, applauded the ruling. However, the Religious Exemption Accountability Project, which filed the lawsuit on behalf of over 30 LGBTQ students, vowed to continue their fight. The lawsuit, initiated in March 2021, targeted over 20 religious colleges alleging discrimination against LGBTQ+ students. Lead plaintiff Elizabeth Hunter, a former student at Bob Jones University, described the environment as scary and harsh due to the school's behavioral rules prohibiting same-sex romantic relationships. In January 2023, U.S. District Judge Ann Aiken ruled against the plaintiffs, stating that they failed to demonstrate discriminatory intent behind the religious exemption granted by Congress decades ago. The Ninth Circuit's decision reinforces the legal precedent allowing religious institutions to maintain their doctrines while receiving federal support. So I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I think they got it right. But I think they got it right within a context that's wrong. And by that, I mean, we should have separation of church and state. And I think that's fine. Although I don't know that they should be receiving funding anyway as a religious institution.
Right.
But we have this blend of public, private, religious, not religious entities. And they're, churches that should be being taxed because they're absolutely not doing religious things should be taxed. So they got it right in this one slim instance, but the overall picture is deadly wrong.
Have you ever worked, as a professor, you have worked everywhere in a bunch of different countries. Have you ever worked for a religious institution?
No, I never have. I would never go to a place called Bob Jones.
The problem is, as soon as they receive $1 federal, then it becomes public domain. That's all of our tax dollars. And we should not be funding discrimination.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if you want to be private and you want to have special rules that only allow special people, then you can have your private organization, any
But
kind of
not with
organization.
not with my
but
tax
not
dollars.
with public
Right.
money.
Yeah.
Then you can raise your money and you can have your little whatever you want to have.
Yeah.
And it can only be for you. But as soon as you start taking public money, now you're part of the public domain. That means you have to follow federal civil rights laws.
Exactly.
And this is a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Taking our money to fund hate. Taking the public's money and going, oh, by the way, you get to discriminate against a whole class of people. That's not acceptable, and it's totally incongruent with like the actual law itself, which says you cannot, when you receive, I know in healthcare, if you receive through the Affordable Care Act, which is legislation. It's a law. It's not health insurance. It's a huge civil rights law. If you receive $1 federal, you have to follow federal law, which means when somebody comes into a healthcare environment, you have to treat them a certain way by federal law.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter what you like. They walk in the emergency room, you ask them their pronouns, you treat them. You don't have to understand anything. You don't have to like anything. But if that institution, now, if a staff member makes a comment about somebody, homophobic comments, right? That person can sue the institution and the individual for violating federal law. So why should this school get to take federal dollars but make up their own rules?
Yeah.
But nobody else can make up their own rules.
But it's so true.
Why should they receive our money at all?
It's so true. You know, my wife.
Fund your hate yourself.
But any religious institution can do that. So, or ideally, any religious institution could do that. So if you have a religious institution that's going to do something opposite, they deserve the same opportunity is the wrong word. They deserve the same right to kind of assert that religious doctrine within their school, regardless of whether or not it's a Christian doctrine.
They do, but they can't take federal money. As soon as you take federal money, you stop, the whole Christian thing goes to the side. Just like you said, we have separation of church and state. So if you want to be a church and you have private funds and you raise your money, you can do what you want. As soon as you cross the line into the public domain, you start taking federal dollars, you're no longer separating church and state. Now you're part of the state. We're funding you. You have to follow federal law, period, like every other organization in the country.
That's an interesting perspective.
But it's the truth. I mean, think about it. Hospitals need to take care of whoever it is. If it's a public hospital, you know, my wife has had to administer care to a murderer.
Yeah,
right?
That's
and
right.
She hasn't wanted to, but has to because
that's right.
Yeah.
And you treat them the same, and you ask them their pronoun because you're accepting federal dollars and you're part of America, right? And so you have to follow federal statute. The ACA is a huge civil rights law. You have to follow. These churches shouldn't get carve-outs to fund. Hey, if you want to hate people, fund it yourself.
But okay, but you have
I'm not saying you can't hate people.
Well,
I'm just saying fund it
actually, I
yourself.
think that there are a lot of religious institutions that receive tax breaks, you know,
and they
that
shouldn't.
don't pay
That
taxes.
shouldn't.
That shouldn't. And this is an example of that.
Yeah.
See, and I'm going to push back a little bit because I think everyone has, so the Hippocratic Oath kind of means that everyone has a right to care at some level, right? There is no right to higher education. It doesn't exist. You have a right to secondary education.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with that?
Well, because
when you take federal dollars, you have to follow federal law, period. You don't get to take federal dollars and be exempt from federal law.
But we have decided, right? We have decided that there are exemptions for religious institutions. That's been decided.
No, who decided that?
The whatever act.
The whatever act.
That was in the story.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. That doesn't mean that act is right.
And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm
Boys,
saying
I really don't think it's going to be the last time that we hear about this, especially since the girls are, you know, they filed and as they should.
And
you know, to
appealing.
LGBTQ plus people that want to work in these institutions, I don't understand why.
Right.
But you should be allowed to and to be your true
Some
authentic
people
self
want
while
to change
doing
from
so.
within.
You know,
You know who taught me that? Reverend Juan. He said some people want to change from within, some people want to change from without. And he taught me something, and I've always remembered that. So if you want to be there and try to change from within, go for it. But in the meantime, stop taking federal dollars.
Stop taking federal
And
stop taking
again,
tax
just to
dollars.
reiterate my point is there's a much bigger problem at play here. I think this is right in this context, in this way, but it's wrong in a greater context of what's going on with the whole church and state.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
Again, let's start talking about reproductive rights. You want to? You know?
We'll do that.
How church and state are all over each other. Come on.
I've already decided what your reproductive rights should be.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Bonnie, what's next? Get me out of here.
Yeah, let's go into something chill like politics. Extra politics. What we learned from the first debate between Kamala and Donald. In a fiery presidential debate on Tuesday, Democratic candidate Kamala Harris took center stage, challenging her Republican rival Donald Trump on several fronts. With her prosecutorial acumen, Harris, 59, launched a barrage of criticism targeting Trump's fitness for office, his stance on abortion, and his tangled legal issues. From the outset, Harris dominated the debate, provoking Trump, 78, into a series of flustered responses. Notably, she taunted Trump about his campaign rallies, claiming people often leave them early, quote, out of exhaustion and boredom. Trump retorted with exaggerated claims about the size of his rallies and veered into false accusations about immigrants eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. Harris countered this claim and provoked Trump into making other controversial statements that could become viral. As the debate unfolded, it became clear that Trump struggled to stay focused, often descending into unsubstantiated allegations about voter fraud and immigrant crime.
14 or 15 different policies, like she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this.
Despite their clash over various issues, including immigration, foreign policy, and healthcare, the debate lacked detailed policy proposals. Betting markets, however, shifted in Harris's favor as Trump's performance failed to reassure investors. If that was not enough, Trump entered the spin room post-debate, asserting it was his best performance, despite many undecided voters remaining skeptical of his candidacy. Trump's response to Harris's call for a second debate was mixed, hinting he might decline if he feels he won the first round. After the debate, pop music superstar Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala on her Instagram, including a link to register to vote and a sign-off that says, "A childless cat lady." Now, I saw viral clips of this going off before it was even over. This was one of the most entertaining debates we've seen in a while, especially compared to the last one, which is one of the most stressful ones we've seen in a while. We got Trump spiraling, basically, which I didn't think he was capable of doing. That's a lie. I didn't think he was so capable of doing with a woman present. Like, Kamala walked into the room, darted towards him, shook his hand, took up that space, walked to her podium, and knew everything she had going on. And I applaud her for that. And as the #1 Kamala Harris drag queen impersonator, I have to give kudos to her because she did a fantastic job from start to finish.
Listen, I have to support and co-sign what Bonnie said. This was one of the most entertaining evenings I have had in a long time. Like,
I was stayed up late for it.
Look at you, Cindy, right? She was breaking night there to watch the debate. I just was blown away by, Kamala used all her tools yesterday to not F a person up. You know what I mean? You could just see it in her faces, right? Because something that happens with black and brown people is that we can't hide our distaste for you, right? When it gets to a certain point, we really can't. When we're 1 second away from getting the Vaseline and taking off our earrings, our face says it all, right?
Yeah.
And her face just said it all. But no. But the last thing that you can be is an angry woman. Especially, you can't be an angry brown or black woman in front of men because they automatically take that as a sign of weakness, right? So I was there like, Kamala girl, you gotta get this. You've got to do this. He's going to try to rattle you, but you've got this. And she totally brought it home for us, I thought, when she said, you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I was like, mic drop. Thank you. We done. We can all go home now. When Trump started talking about the transgender surgeries on illegal immigrants, I was like, what is going on with this man?
I never heard that.
I had even posted like, hey, let's start a drinking game for people. Every time he mentions immigrants, take a picture, take a shot. People were on the floor by 20 minutes in. There was so much going on, when the reference about her being black, not being black, where he was like, oh, I read she was black. And then, she's not black. She could be whatever she wants. wow, you know, she is Jamaican, okay? Like, she is Jamaican Indian. She is brown, okay? That's it. You know, there was just so many parts there. And let me not get started on the eating of the animals. You know, and you know, my favorite part about the ass kicking that happened last night was that today the Trumpers were less on social media, if you notice. Some of them, you know, had their little things, but they weren't usually out like on the prowl like they usually are. Like they are licking their wounds kind of deal.
They are planning a rally on the water, a boat rally in Fort Lauderdale. I think it's this weekend.
On the Titanic.
Yeah.
There's a show coming out called The Apprentice, and it's about Donald Trump and how he was trained by Roy Cohen.
Like a documentary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a show. It's like a movie.
Oh, okay, like docuseries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because he's still him, right? It's like, it's so boring already. It's like, he's going to come out, he's going to lie, he's going to say weird things about, like, he's going to be really offensive to a whole lot of people. I don't know why he gets to do this to other people, but for some reason he gets this pass. But then when you look at The Apprentice, if you care at all to do such a thing, you'll see how he was trained there. You never admit you lost. You never admit defeat. You always say that you won. You always say that you were the best. You always said that it was the biggest. These are things that he's been trained to say from like the 80s by Roy Cohen, right? And the thing is, the worst part about that is that it's old and it's tired, and we know it's like this training thing from the 80s, but it's 2024. And all the people,
right?
And he's almost 80,
Yeah.
and the people that fall
fact-check
for it,
things
like
now.
the people that vote for him, they don't care.
They don't care.
That it's just part of his game. Like, they don't exist.
Yeah.
They're just part of his game. He's doing what he was trained to do. They don't really exist at all, and they don't care. And it's really sad at this point. It's like, you guys, I don't know, I don't even know how to talk to them. I used to think, we need to educate, we need to take time, and we need to provide facts, and then it's like,
but there's a
Not everybody is educatable.
Now it's like, I don't even.
like that.
Educatable, I like that. Did you make up that word?
If you did, it's
I
a
don't know,
good one.
Professor.
I'm going to say you made it up.
I actually spoke to a person who is still voting for Trump recently, and they said they understand he's a jackass. Their words, not mine. I would use it, but their words, not mine. But they just can't see themselves voting for Kamala. And I'm like,
Because she's a woman?
It has to be something like that. They didn't delve into it, but like there are people who like truly cannot stand this man, but will give him their vote because they just cannot vote for Kamala. And
But they can't give you a good reason.
they cannot.
No, but they can't give you. But I'm telling you, it's a cognitive dissonance. You can't talk to these people. You literally, and let me just say, there still is a difference between a Republican and a Trumper. Okay, I will say that, right? Because I have Republican friends that have said, look, I'm just staying home.
Look at
All right?
Dick and Liz Cheney.
I'm just going to stay
decision.
home. You
Good
know, for
decision.
voting day, I'm just going to stay home. You know, but I mean, it's just crazy how people. It doesn't matter. I will tell somebody. He just said people are eating pets in Springfield. But look it up, Faye. Google it, and then you Google it, and it'll say false. It'll say false news, right? And I'll send it back to them. Oh, whatever, Faye. You know, and that's the answer is, oh, whatever, Faye.
Exactly.
You know, and yesterday the American people and around the world, because people around the world were watching this.
Of course they were.
You know, at the edge of their seats
Around the
see.
Around the world.
I mean, he invited the Taliban to Camp David, okay?
Exactly.
And he starts talking about Abdul. Who's Abdul? I was like looking myself. I was trying to do some fact checking myself. I'm like, who's Abdul? He just mentioned the
One
name
of his
just
good
because.
friends.
One of his good friends in the Taliban.
If
you
there
know?
are Republicans involved with that camp at all, they need to send out a huge apology to the Haitian community.
Absolutely.
Because what
That
he
was
has been
ridiculous.
saying about Haitian immigrants is beyond disgusting.
You're right.
The fact that it's not true
Yeah.
is like the fact that you are saying this about a
And he
whole
knows it's not
country
true.
Yeah.
full of
God's
people,
sake.
right?
Yeah.
And his reference
Right.
was he saw it on TV.
And you want to be a president? Like, you couldn't be a manager at a
fucking King
Yeah,
Road.
disrespecting
No.
people like that.
You
I
can't.
don't understand.
Do we like how the moderators did their job?
No.
No.
Off and on.
I like David Muir. I like him. I followed
Did
him
he
for a lot of
fact-check,
years.
but not
I
that
liked
he
his
wouldn't cut him
fact checking,
off.
but it was very difficult for
wouldn't
him
cut
to
him
cut
off.
him off, and that I had a little opposition with.
But he had no
you know.
problem at all cutting off Kamala.
Okay.
And it was, they came out and made a rule. The Harris campaign said, we want the mics on. They said, no, we're going to keep the mics off when other people are talking and we're going to cut the mic. And they stood by the rule, and then they didn't follow their own rule. And every time he would say, let's go to the next question, Trump would go, but I want to talk about this. And he'd go, okay. And he would call him president. He'd go, okay, President Trump. And I kept going, wait a minute.
But
he's not president
Once
anymore.
you're a president,
Why
you're
do you
always a
keep-
president.
No,
Sorry.
no,
Yes.
you're a former president.
But you'll always be
and
called
you're an
president.
ex-president.
It sucks, but
No,
yes.
you're a former or you're a previous,
Yeah,
you're
but
an
then you
ex.
still
They'll always
have that
call you
title.
president. They still
They
call
do
No.
Clinton, they call him
everybody.
President Clinton. They don't call him ex-president.
Trust me, I don't want to call that man
President
president.
Obama.
But it's just how
It just seemed like he was giving him way too much latitude.
Also, them letting him talk really gave Trump the shovel to dig his own grave.
Yeah.
When Trump starts talking, don't you get a little dumbfounded and you forget to press the
IQ
button?
points just
I just started like drooling.
falling out of you.
Yeah.
But that was all. That was
yeah.
all brilliantly staged by Harris, right? Because I didn't watch it. I listened to it. So these kinds of things I prefer to hear rather than to watch because I find the visual to be distracting. But listening to it, you could hear her entire rhetorical arc, which is she came in positive, stating policy, stating things, blah, blah, blah. And then she started to work on him. She started to work to trigger him, right? She started to use loser, and she started to use lost, and she started to say small size, and
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
small
and then
fraud
just the more she pounded on that, the more triggered he got. And then she sort of, as soon as he cracked, she let up. She let him do his own funeral, and she went back to talking about, well, here's what we're going to do moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good news is the backer, the Koch brothers, said their money's going anywhere but with Trump.
Oh, I love that.
And his Truth Social stock dropped 16% by the end of the debate, which means that his funders were like, he's not going to win the presidential election. And they're already pulling their money out and they're looking for other things to do. And that happened immediately at the end of the debate. So that's a good sign because there's still a lot of people out there, I don't understand why, going, we want to hear more from her.
Yeah.
How much more do you need to hear from her when you see everything that he said?
Yeah.
He said enough things to make you
it's
not want to
ridiculous.
represent
Again,
him.
just say you don't want to vote for a woman. Just say that's the reason. Because, I mean, come on. And then at the end of the debate and at the end of the night, Tay says, I am with the catless ladies, and I am endorsing Kamala. Great timing, Tay. Great timing.
So smart.
This had to be a response to her hugging that Britney woman at the football game who endorsed Trump or liked the post favoring him. So I think once that got released to the public, she was like, oh no, I gotta, and then she found the perfect time after the debate to be like, it is because of the debates that I have decided with long thinking and consideration that I will be endorsing Kamala Harris. Not because of a viral
couple
hug.
of times I've heard Taylor speak, she's very smart.
She is.
And I think she waited for the debate. I think she waited to find out, can Kamala do this? Can she do this? Can you imagine the pressure that was on her last night?
Of course.
Like, it was unbelievable, right? And Taylor waited, I believe, how I read it, is she waited for the debate. And she went, she can do this.
She can do
And guess what? Because they just had to stop one of her concerts.
Yeah.
Because of like a hate
Had
crime. Like,
threats.
her coming out publicly and endorsing the candidate is a huge thing for everybody that works for her and herself.
Yeah.
And she waited to the end, said, it's worth it now. Like, I saw what I needed to see. I think she's too smart to play a
smart and
game.
very calculated.
I think she knew what she was doing with.
Yeah, I think it was like a big picture.
Yeah.
He probably has more money than Trump now, too, actually.
Oh, big
for
girl.
sure.
She
She has real money. He has
She could
he
buy
has debt
several
money. He has banked money. She has cash.
Seriously. So folks, if you didn't see the debate, go watch it on YouTube and just enjoy all the memes because the memes, they just write themselves. The material just wrote themselves. That's the only thing about Trump. And I'll say one good thing about Trump, his hair looked good yesterday. I don't know what. I don't know who poofed it out. I don't know if you got a new toupee, but the colors were working and everything.
You know what also looked good? That gunshot ear of his. That looked really good on
Woo,
him.
girl, wow, it looks so perfect. Oh my God.
A prosthetic or what? They did really good work.
Like nothing ever happened because nothing did. All right, Paul, what's next, baby?
All right. Next, we're going to queer up entertainment. I love this story. Finally, a good story. A good news story for everyone. New Netflix documentary follows Will Ferrell and his trans friend on a road trip. Netflix's latest documentary teaser has viewers reaching for tissues. The trailer for Will and Harper set to release on September 27th with select theater screenings from September 13th, promises a heartwarming journey of friendship and self-discovery. This touching documentary follows comedy legend Will Ferrell and his friend Harper Steele, a former Saturday Night Live writer, as they embark on a 16-day road trip across the U.S. Their journey explores their evolving friendship after Harper came out as a trans woman during the COVID-19 pandemic. The trip is a chance for Harper to reintroduce herself to the country she loves, and for the pair to reconnect through shared experiences and humor. Early reactions to the trailer have been overwhelmingly positive, praising the film's blend of comedy and emotional depth. With a perfect 100 rating on Rotten Tomatoes, critics have lauded his heartfelt portrayal of friendship and acceptance. Richard Lawson of Vanity Fair notes the film's strength in addressing oft-ignored topics, while Brian Tallarico of RogerEbert.com appreciates the genuine companionship on display. The Guardian's Benjamin Lee commends its sensitive examination of allyship and support. Will and Harper is set to be a must-watch for those seeking both laughs and profound reflection on friendship and identity.
Hi there, I'm Will Ferrell, one of the greatest actors in the world. A long time ago, back when I was at Saturday Night Live, I met a guy who was hired as a writer the same week I was hired. He wrote a bunch of sketches for me and eventually became the head writer of SNL. And over the years, he became one of my closest friends. And then one day, I got this email. Hey, Will, something I need you to know. I'll be transitioning to live as a woman.
I don't doubt that Will is my friend, but I'm not Andrew Steele anymore.
It was just, whoa.
I love this country so much, I just don't know if it loves me back right now.
Harper, would you want to do a road trip as this new version of yourself, and at the same time, figure out what this all means to us?
You recognize this guy? This is a Hollywood movie star.
No.
You don't recognize
Okay, that's okay. Roll up the window.
Were you a little worried about how to talk to me when I came out to you?
Yeah, probably a little nervous.
There are no ground rules with friends, I'm telling you. I invite any friend of mine to ask me these questions. I am not afraid to talk about them.
There's a question. Do you think you're a worse driver as a female driver?
That's the dumbest. That is so. No, that is so. Oh, fuck you.
Zing!
But I am.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is my friend Harper.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you, bro.
Hey, not a bro, though. It's a she, but that's okay.
Sorry.
This is probably around the age where I started to feel just kind of weird.
Yeah.
I used to come out to these kind of places before, and then I transitioned and I got a little afraid. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, come out.
I'm not really afraid of these people. I'm afraid of hating myself. All I want to do is live.
Oh, Dunkin' Donuts.
No.
We've not done one fun thing. Name one fun thing we've done.
Wow, how heartwarming. That was...
I got a little teary.
Yeah, I did too, just to watch the trailer. You know, I was thinking with all of the vitriol and all of the hate and all the anti-trans legislation and all the society, at least here in Florida where we live, you don't really get a lot of opportunities to have the conversations that we really need to have. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching that trailer going, wow, this is going to give people a chance to have conversations. This is going to give people a chance to look within themselves and start to figure out like, okay, maybe I've been doing this wrong. Maybe I've been looking at this wrong. And you said it'll probably be on Netflix pretty soon. You know, when people get a chance to be in the safety of their home and look at subjects that they're not sure about, it gives them an opportunity. I see this could be absolutely like a huge, Thank you
Game
for the
changer.
Yeah, what courage for Harper to go.
Yeah.
Put this on film like that.
Yeah, right?
That's huge, right? But like, wow, this could change a lot of lives.
I love that the educator in you says that. You know what I mean? Where you're like, this is just such a great educational moment for everybody, Like, I think, Will Ferrell's one of those comedians that everybody likes, right? It don't matter if you're black, white.
I cannot stand it.
Okay.
You have to
Okay,
say it. Don't-
except you, right? But everybody knows of like The Elf. Everybody knows of these movies that like have been like part of our culture for so long, And so for the most part, he kind of, except Tai, everybody kind of likes Will Ferrell. So like to his point, to what Paul is saying, like this lets people that like don't have to tell anybody that they're watching a documentary about someone who is going through their journey of transitioning at home in the comfort of their own home, and get educated on it, like Will Ferrell was. So Will says that he didn't know shit about the transgender community until Harper came out.
Right.
Okay. And Harper just came out to him during pandemic. So that was just in these last couple of years that, that Harper said, hey, I'm going to transition into a woman. And I want you to know that. And I think that's probably why the pronouns are iffy during the trailer and stuff like that, because it just happened, but it's already working. It's already worked in Will Ferrell's life, right? He told Variety today, he said, I used to dress up as a woman on SNL for laughs. And that is something that I would definitely not do now.
Huh.
I think
He's learning.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. And for people to be able to experience that, how you can move through this with friends. I mean, I know a lot of trans people are horrified that they're going to be, stranded by all of their friends and family. And this is just a very poignant look at how you can be supportive of people in your life, and it will probably teach a few other folks how to be more compassionate with others. And I think that's the biggest thing, because we're going to be able to see how this friendship, this long-term friendship,
over 30 years.
Yeah. How it adjusts and adapts. But it's still a friendship. And in the part in the clip where the SNL, Tina Fey and all the other folks with SNL are sitting around a table with them and laughing. I mean, that's so heartwarming.
Yeah, the clip.
Because so many don't get that.
And do we remember Will Ferrell doing all, he made so much money off being President Bush. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, for him now to be this person that is understanding and evolving as a freaking human.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The part in the clip where Harper said, were you nervous about how to talk to me?
And he said, yeah.
And he said, yeah. That's so powerful, because I think people are
Everybody
afraid
would
to
be.
even ask the question, right? Some people are just afraid that they're going to mess up, and so they just don't want to talk about it. And to be able to watch somebody go, yeah, I wasn't sure what to do. And for her to go, that's okay. Like, we can talk about it now.
Right.
Like, giving people permission to, like, let's have this conversation. Let's get to know each other.
Yeah.
Like,
there's clearly a trend happening of older celebrities using their platform to stand up for the queer community. For example, Sheryl Lee Ralph, she recently made a statement telling people of her generation, get people's pronouns correct, address them how they want to be addressed. It's not that hard. So to have people like Sheryl Lee Ralph and Will Ferrell, people who've been in this industry forever, our grandparents know these people.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis, our grandparents know these folk, and for them on these platforms to say, even at our grown age, at our big age, we can still address people properly and respect people and respect the queer community.
And learn.
And learn. It is never too late to learn.
Absolutely.
Also, I appreciate this film. I will say this, and I'm very curious to watch it, bringing Harper and Will going to like middle America, as we've seen in the clip, and how they're treated in the bar environments. I'm expecting a lot of awkward moments, a lot of tension, and also a lot of heartwarming moments. This does not take away the threat that trans people have to deal with going to places like middle America.
Because you don't have Will Ferrell with you.
Exactly. Like Will Ferrell has a
and they're white.
Crew,
and they're both white.
And they're white. So like, we're going to see some tension in this docuseries, I'm assuming, but also that doesn't take away from the very real actual threat trans people go through every single day.
Every day.
single day.
Exactly.
Every day.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Coming to Netflix soon.
Yep. Now let's queer up entertainment. We're Here, canceled by HBO after 4 seasons. Priyanka, co-host of the latest season of the queer reality series We're Here, has expressed deep concern following the show's cancellation. Originally featuring RuPaul's Drag Race stars Bob the Drag Queen, Shangela, and Eureka O'Hara, the HBO series was known for its compelling portrayal of drag queens traveling across the U.S. to uplift small-town queer communities through one-night-only drag shows. The show, which highlighted the struggles of LGBTQ plus individuals in rural America, has been renewed for a 4th season with Priyanka, Sasha Velour, Jada Essence Hall, and Latrice Royale. However, it has now been axed, leaving fans and participants disheartened. On TikTok, Priyanka reflected on the cancellation with visible sadness.
We're Here just got canceled. The last season that Sasha, Jada, Latrice, and I just did was the last and final season for now. I'm very, 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 very sad. Because, well, many reasons. But the main reason being what the show does for people and the help that it gives the community in small town America. Makes me worried for queer content to be canceled and not renewed. It worries me that things are going to get a little conservative. But that's why we keep fighting and keep supporting the drag queens and the trans girls and the non-binary artists and the queer community, the lesbians, the gays, everybody all under the umbrella. Please support all of us. Buy those tickets. Come see me on tour. All of it. It's really sad. What an iconic show. End of an era.
Co-creators Johnny Ingram and Stephen Warren expressed their gratitude, noting that the show's impact would endure despite its end. HBO echoed the same sentiment. We're Here remains available for streaming on Max in the US and Sky Max in the UK. Well, it's unfortunate that they're canceling it because one of the things that I always think about, I live in Miami. I can be as gay or lesbian as I want walking around in Miami. But when you live in rural America, you can't. And having experiences like this let you know that there's a much bigger world out there for you. And also there are a lot of folks in rural America that really aren't getting out of rural America. Yeah. And it's just so sad because it was also something that you can watch from anywhere and get feelings of inspiration and feel uplifted. I'm just sorry that it's being canceled, really.
Well, I mean, I posted, We're Here is getting canceled, and somebody's like, it's not getting canceled, it's just not being renewed.
Isn't that the same thing?
Wow. Okay. Right. Okay. So much to unpack here. It's hard to do this. Okay. I loved We're Here, the original cast, right? I loved Shangela. I loved Bob the Drag Queen. I love Eureka, right? These 3 names became even bigger superstars during their filming of We're Here, right? With other side projects, right? Bob was touring with Madonna, for God's sake, right? But there were issues, right? Shangela had a bunch of sexual accusations allegedly towards her. Eureka couldn't stay out of rehab. There was a lot of stuff happening with those 3 girls, right? And there were rumors saying that they wanted more money and stuff like that, whatever, blah, blah. So they ended up replacing them with the new crew of girls, right? So it was Priyanka, Sasha, Jada, right? And, oh wait, am I missing one? Latrice. Oh yeah, and Latrice. And Latrice was my favorite. So Latrice was who I wanted to watch, right? She's our hometown girl. She's from down here. I freaking love her. And she was who I wanted to see. So I was like, okay, We're Here, new cast. I love RuPaul. I'm on board, right? I am one of those drag queen lovers. I'm going to watch it, right? That shit was so heavy. So heavy. They were in Oklahoma. I think it was one of the first cities. And the first episode didn't have most of the girls in it. Okay, I don't remember who it had in it, but it was just very long, very heavy, very difficult to sit through. It took me about 3 times to sit through it. And then once it got canceled, I was like, okay, and I was like, where is, I just want, I want Latrice. I want Latrice, right? And when Latrice came on stage, there was more energy, there was more fun, there was more into it, You can tell that Priyanka loved what she was doing. She connected with all the queer kids and all the people that they were transforming into drag queens. But something didn't land. I thought it was just too freaking heavy. And I'm not the only person that has said that, unfortunately,
The little bit that I read said that it was viewership.
Well, so these decisions are always made based on viewers and on money, right? That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But the other thing that it has run for 4 seasons. What we don't understand in the United States is not every show runs for 30 years.
No, exactly. Of course not.
Of course not. But we're used to really long series. The rest of the world doesn't have that. Like in Europe, they're lucky to get like a 2-parter that's 6 series each.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they're done. And so they run its course and it's done. So perhaps they're going out on top.
But they're not. After one season with a new cast, that's how you're going to go off on top?
There's one more season coming, right?
Maybe
no, that's it. That's the last one.
Season 4 aired already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Maybe if
that's what I just finished watching.
Maybe if what you're saying, maybe if a lot of people felt like that and so viewership dropped,
it's emotionally
maybe
taxing,
somebody needs to revamp it a little, find a mix of some of the energy and the fun to keep it light enough that people want to.
But that's unfair though, Paul. That's unfair that we can't see true and reality shit that's happening. You know what I mean?
Well,
we want to see
both.
No, but I'm saying we want to see drag queens pretty and entertaining us. We don't want to see the horror that queer people are going through in Oklahoma, that they can't be their true authentic self. These girls were getting death threats. There is no reason why a drag queen should be fearful for their life when they're going to do a gig,
But right, and you're absolutely right. But the thing is, if people are not tuning in and watching, then they're not getting the lesson.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out a way to make the show, temper the show in a way that it gets the viewer there so you can teach that lesson in multiple different ways.
True.
Otherwise, you end up getting canceled and lose out on the whole thing.
And the good thing is that we know that productions companies like HBO and Netflix, and they're out there building new shows already, right? So I'm sure they've got something in the works that's going to maybe reinvent this. You know what I mean? They're not afraid to make these shows.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What do you think?
That's
Bonnie?
It was a very emotionally taxing show.
Okay.
I made it through season 2, I want to say. Bob the Drag Queen was a big draw for me. When the cast changed, I heard rumblings of drama in the background, but I figured that wasn't any of my business. But when I saw the cast, I was like, okay, Priyanka, Canadian pop star. I don't know how she relates to this sort of platform. Sasha is very not mental. What's the word I'm looking for? Very brainy.
Okay.
Intellectual.
She would know that word. I can't. But I don't know how she would do. Latrice is just a fantastic time. And Jada Essence Hall is one of the most beautiful people in the world. So how's anybody going to relate to her? So I just thought the mix of queens that they had on board, I didn't know how their chemistry would work. And when you have raw, true chemistry, that can carry a show for eons.
Yeah.
For example, what's that show? The 5 gays?
Queer Eye.
Queer Eye. Their chemistry is the reason people tune in. They want to see the stories, but they also want to see how these people interact with each other.
2 people quit, right?
I heard that. Why I stopped watching a while ago, so I wouldn't know. But I do love having queer shows on television, whether I watch it or not. Just keep busting it out, keep having it out there. And this show will inspire more shows like it, because this show actually won Emmys, I believe, in the background. So as long as this show produces more shows like it or more platforms for queer people, that is a good side of this happening.
Yep. Okay. Next, join HOTspots Happening Out as we celebrate 40 years with Margaritaville at Sea. Set sail on an unforgettable 4-day escape with the nonprofit HOTspots Happening Out Travel Club aboard the vibrant Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. Enjoy complimentary transfers from 17 South Florida cities, whisking you straight to this floating paradise. Dive into our exclusive 40th anniversary events, where you'll savor gourmet dining, lively parties, and thrilling entertainment. Discover the beauty of the Bahamas from Freeport to Port Lucaya, or unwind on deck with exhilarating activities. With a free cabin upgrade and effortless cruise connections, this is a celebration like no other. Book your adventure now at happeningout.travel and join the fun.
As a nonprofit LGBTQ plus media organization, we would like to thank our viewers, you, for supporting our mission to tell the stories of the queer community. We'd also like to thank the generous support of Jets Pizza. Jets is the LGBTQ plus community's most popular pizza in South Florida. And yes, we do eat the pizza.
Take a look around these streets. Do you really think we woke up one day and said, yeah, the world needs more pizza? Nah, just a better one. Better, like the world's best pizza, Jet's Detroit-style pizza. Hand-pressed and baked to the thickest, crispiest crunch. You're welcome. Now visit jetspizza.com and save. Click on Hot Deals for special offers in your area. Jets, better because it has to be.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
We finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News, let's queer up entertainment. Queer singer Chappell Roan to be cover of October Rolling Stone. Singer and songwriter Chappell Roan will grace the cover for Rolling Stone for the first time in October. On Tuesday, Roan has seen a meteoric rise this past year, selling out concerts and captivating audiences and festivals like Lollapalooza in Chicago. Her music resonates with LGBTQ plus audiences, including tracks like Good Luck, Babe, about loving a girl who isn't yet comfortable with her sexuality. She told Rolling Stone, quote, "Right now, it is more important than ever to use your vote, and I will do whatever it takes to protect people's civil rights, especially the LGBTQ plus community. My ethics and values will always align with that, and that hasn't changed with a different nominee. I feel lucky to be alive during an incredibly historical time period when a woman of color is a presidential nominee. Well, go get them, Chappell.
Chappell Roan is everywhere, and I love that she's using her platform for good.
I'm going to have to look her up and listen to some of her music.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good.
You'll like it. It's not like the Indigo Girls.
I like the Indigo Girls.
Okay, I don't.
You're going to love the Big Pony Club. All right, LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up sports. J.K. Rowling attacks transgender Paralympian. Anti-trans author J.K. Rowling has now clashed with Valentina Petrillo, a visually impaired transgender Paralympian. Petrillo, who competed in the T12 200-meter and 400-meter races at the Paris 2024 Paralympics, was the first openly transgender Paralympian. She faced significant backlash, including from Rowling, who labeled her an, quote, out and proud cheat on Twitter. Petrillo ran a personal best in the 400-meter T12, but did not qualify for the Paralympic final. Petrillo expressed her shock at the negativity, revealing, quote, it was a surprise because I'm not used to this. I don't know how to handle it. She criticized Rowling for focusing on her use of the female toilet, stating that Rowling, quote, is only concerned about the fact that I use the female toilet, but she, quote, doesn't know anything about me. And this is why there is a higher rate of regret from people who are transitioning to people who have Harry Potter tattoos. There are a lot more people with Harry Potter tattoos that regret that than people that transition. And this is why, because of that goddamn foolishness. Girl, shut your fucking mouth.
I'm just wondering, are there female toilets? Are there male and female toilets? I think it's
I
just
think they're all the
I think
same.
it's just a toilet.
J.K. Rowling is a female toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. These folks are athletes just trying to bring honor back to their country after working so hard to get to the Paralympics, okay? So, J.K. Rowling, shut up. Go write something. Don't talk, all right? And Petrillo, you go, girl.
Yes.
Yes.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up trans rights. Appeals Court upholds ban on anti-trans Arizona sports law. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a lower court's decision blocking Arizona's law barring transgender girls from public school sports teams. Signed by former Governor Doug Ducey in 2022, the law faced legal challenges from parents of 2 trans girls in April 2023. U.S. District Judge Jennifer Zips blocked the ban in July, citing equal protection concerns. Arizona Superintendent Tom Horn appealed, but a 3-judge panel unanimously upheld Zips' ruling. NCLR attorney Rachel Berg praised the decision, noting it affirms equal rights for transgender students. Little victories for us, okay? Little victories, but big ones for those ladies that were brave enough and strong enough to tell their story and make this happen, all right? So, girls, I'm thinking about you.
And everyone else can zip it.
That's right.
Exactly. Okay, LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Stonewall Museum gets refund from Florida after LGBTQ travel page removed. In Fort Lauderdale, a queer history museum has successfully received a refund from Florida's official tourism website. The Stonewall National Museum, Archives and Library, known as the largest LGBTQ collection in the world, had paid to be featured on a page for queer visitors on visitflorida.com. However, the page was unexpectedly deleted last month. A spokesperson for the museum confirmed to ABC affiliate WPLG that a refund is issued. The website, visitflorida.com, is a key online tourism resource funded through a public-private partnership with state businesses. This move has sparked wider conversations around inclusivity in tourism, especially for LGBTQ plus travelers in Republican-led states like Florida. And so this came up, I'm on that advisory committee for the city of Miami Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We were furious when we found out that LGBTQ was taken off of our committee, contacted our commissioners. We wrote a letter.
How did you find out?
Letter to the commission. I heard
you found out like everybody else.
Yeah, on social media. And I couldn't understand why people weren't responding. John Tantrella up here wrote a whole post, but down in Miami, it was silent. And I was furious. So I wrote one of the commissioners. I said, we need to say something. Like, this is not acceptable. I didn't expect, but I'm happy that the commission today We wrote a letter yesterday from our advisory committee. Today at the commission meeting, it passed unanimously.
That was
by
a
all
quick
commissioners.
turnaround. That
Yeah,
usually
well,
takes
we
a long
worked on
time.
it for a while, but it all, like our committee meeting was yesterday. Today was the commission meeting. And so for the LGBTQ tourism, the LGBTQIA committee supports Commissioner Alex Fernandez's resolution on the September 11th City Commission agenda to urge Visit Florida to reinstate the LGBTQ travel section on the state travel website.
But they're not going to.
And so, well, my thing is for the city of Miami Beach to step out and take this stance and say, hey, state of Florida, you need to get it together. That is huge.
huge.
I thought they would take our letter. I thought they would sign our letter. I thought it would be like a city of Miami Beach thing. They actually spoke directly to Tallahassee. And so that made me like really happy because this is going to
It's taking a stand.
It's going to be ongoing now. This
And
conversation
it's
is
extremely short-sighted. The same thing with cutting all cultural arts funding. In the state of Florida, we are extremely lucky not to pay state income tax. Why? Because of the money that the state makes through tourism dollars. This is a slap in the face to that. And I don't want to start paying state property taxes or income taxes. No. So, I mean, it needs to, they need to do something.
Yeah. At our committee meeting yesterday, David Whitaker, the president of the GMCVB, came into our meeting to explain to us kind of what this looked like, what was going on with the state, what that website is. It's under a department for the state government. He says that they don't get a lot of traffic. People look in other places. And so we're still able to get the tourists that we want to come here. We're still able to support the businesses that are here that need the tourists.
Because of Visit Miami, because of GM, how do you say that?
GMCVB.
Because of GMCVB in Miami, and because of Visit Lauderdale up here in Broward.
Exactly, doing that work. But he said that there's also this silver lining in that now that this has become headlines, he said they're having to have this conversation with a lot of out-of-state partners. Going, what's going on with Florida? What do you mean they took that off? What are we supposed to say to our employees about going to Florida? How are we supposed to tell them that they're going to be safe? We were all going to go on a huge company trip, but now you just took them off the website. So hopefully the pressure will.
That gets the conversation going, Paul, instead of staying silent, right?
Exactly.
Staying silent wins no victory.
So thank you, City of Miami Beach, again, for supporting the community, for being
and thank you for getting mad, Paul. Thank you for getting mad. No, because it's the truth, right? That's how change happens. That's how we get it in the front of these people that need to know that we're not just going to roll over and say, okay, well. You know what I mean? Because that's what many people did after that. I'd have to say, like, when I saw that, I was like, shucks, that sucks. But, like, you know, you did it.
I'll bend over, but I won't roll over. Go ahead.
Okay, LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up politics. Kamala Harris, North Carolina rally to feature the brothers Osborne. The brothers Osborne are set to make a major political appearance this Thursday at a Kamala Harris campaign rally in Greensboro, North Carolina. The country music brothers, one of whom is gay, are known for supporting LGBTQ plus rights and gun control reform. They will perform at the event as part of Harris's New Way Forward tour. The rally is expected to draw a large crowd in this pivotal swing state for the upcoming presidential election. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris will address the audience, while her running mate Tim Walz will be campaigning in Michigan. Well, I've never heard of the brothers Osborne, but as country music performers, they have a large audience, and I'm happy to see that they're supporting LGBTQ rights and gun reform.
Yes. You know, when you think of country music, you think very, very masculine. You think very, very white. You think very, very guns and Bud Light and very anti-LGBTQ.
Not Bud Light anymore.
But there, you know, and it's probably very true for a big percentage. But there are those that still support our community. Maren Morris loves LGBT and she's part of our community. Jason Isbell, the Dixie Chicks are huge supporters. I'm sorry, they're not the Dixie Chicks anymore. They're just the Chicks because they were evolved enough to change their freaking name.
Right.
You know, and you know, so Taylor Taylor Swift used to be country, you know, so there are people that, you know, in country music that still support us. And I love that the brothers Osborne are jumping on that, you know, and on Kamala Harris's rally. How dope is that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of huge because that, you know, they like to cancel people. And they said LGBTQ rights and gun reform, which are two hot button issues for the country music crowd. And they kind of stood out there. So way to go, brothers Osborne.
I feel like shooting my shotgun in the air.
Put your shotgun away.
Right.
Alrighty then. Well, that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBT plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Happening Out Magazine, HOTspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, FayWhat! And on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the incredible anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Bonnie Builder, look at that face, Dr. Tai Houser, look, eating the pizza. He couldn't even wait. We went over a little bit, and he's like, nope, I gotta eat. My sugar's going down.
It's real.
Right? Paul Thomas saving the day without a cape. He don't need no cape, right? And the beautiful Miss Cindy Brown. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. We remind you that the presidential election is just 54 days away. Stand up for equality, rights, and representation. Make sure you're registered and ready to cast your vote. Let's make history. Let's vote for a better future. See you next time.